welcome back to Oliver's Greenhouse. Now I hope you've enjoyed the first instalment. It's gone down pretty well. I've had a lot of good comments from you guys, so I'm hoping for a bit more feedback with the second section, which is what this is. Now I'm away at the moment, as you can probably see from, well, I'm not in the greenhouse for once, and anyway, I hope you enjoy this section of the video. Thanks for watching. Okay, so just up from the Scaphocephalum collection is my Dendrobium victoriae-reginae, which is just constantly in flower. It's got lots of new flower spikes on it. It's getting super long now. It's almost as long as my forearm. Lots of new growth on it. And that's hanging up just off one of the rafters there at the moment. Just pick that up and move it. It's also got an interesting liverwort growing out the bottom of the pot as well. Move him out of the way so that we can see what we're doing for a minute. There we go. Right, now we can see what we're doing. Let's move you guys in a little bit. Okay, right. So keeping on the mounted orchid, subject I suppose really. My Isabelia is up here. This is growing great guns at the moment, which is fantastic. It's one of those orchids that I just wanted for ages and ages, and it looks fantastic. Lots of new growth, lots of new roots. It's getting super sort of like that. The furry covering around the pseudobulbs is becoming very pronounced now. It looks really good, so I'm really happy with that. And then next, closely related, and next to it we have the Neolucia success story. This is another one of the orchids which between moving from here and the last grow space did really badly, really hated its life. This was down to one pseudobulb or two pseudobulbs I think. Since then it's grown this new growth here, this new growth and this new growth. So it's looking really, really good. It's a real success story, thank goodness. There's a new root poking out of one of those growths. So yep, saved that, thank goodness, because I've had that orchid's been with me a long time. It's just unfortunate that it ended up getting so ill. This is my Trias orchid. This is another orchid which was mounted badly. So I unmounted it. I popped it on this cork slab, and it seems to be growing really, really well. Lots of new growth. It's growing this growth here. There's another growth just in where my finger is. This is a new growth, and this is a new growth. So it's much prefer being on a bit of cork, on a bit of sphagnum moss. Very pleased with that. Just below all of these orchids, if I pan down, we've got Dendrobium devonianum. This was one of the kikis we took off in a video a long time ago, and hang on a minute. I did a video where I mounted it, and here it is. All of this is this year's growth. That was last year's growth. So it came out of dormancy, it's producing lots of new roots, and it's growing great guns. It looks really, really good. And the parent plant in this came off actually died. I'm not sure what happened. It went dormant as per normal and then just didn't produce another growth this year. So it did produce loads of kikis, which I've divided, and I've mounted them on little cork mounts. They are for sale on my eBay. If you're in the UK or Europe, you can purchase one of those if you would like to support the greenhouse. No pressure though, but they are on there along with a few seeds and stuff. There's going to be some more divisions going up later on after the weekend, because I'm away at a festival. So this is why I'm having a big push on the videos today. So if we look over the back here, we've got Bulbophyllum Jersey, one of my orchids I've had for ages. It's featured in lots of other videos previous to this. That's growing a lot, lots of new growth. If we have a little, hopefully it'll focus in on us, not the background. So lots of new growth here and here. Probably going to bloom, I expect. It needs a good repot. It's in one of these orchid clay pots, which I'm moving away from. I just don't like them. I find they dry out too quickly. Behind it is a big Restreepia, which probably needs dividing again at some point, or perhaps potting into something else more substantial. I just noticed there's another flower. There's a flower spike coming up just there on my fingers. Hopefully you can see that. So yeah, that's he sits over the back out of the direct sun, along with a couple of Pluritalis. This is Pluritalis Rowley. This one sits over the back. It's a dead leaf on there. Look, oh, dead leaf. Now there's no longer a dead leaf. and this guy was given as a present, just a free little division, and a bit of water sitting on him there, and it just grows over the back out of direct sunlight quite happily. Okay, so directly in front of you is Bulbophyllum gibbosum. This was in flower this year. It flowered great guns. It was really, really impressive. What I would say about it has a real sprawling nature, so it's almost like a vine. It just grows a bit, flops over, and continues growing. It's a prolific grower, very vigorous, but its habit is not, I would say, well suited to being grown in a pot like this. So what I'll probably end up doing is taking it out of here, dividing it, and then putting it into a saucer mount, because I think it'll be a lot happier growing like that rather than in this. I reckon it'd be, if you could provide a mount big enough, I reckon this guy would, pardon me, early start this morning. I reckon this would grow quite well mounted, but yet again you want a greenhouse with some high humidity, because it's going to want to sprawl all over everything. This is, it's not Oncidium because it got renamed. It was known as Oncidium ornithorhynchum, but it's something else now, and I've looked it up and I've discussed it in other videos previously, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And it's put on lots of new growth this year, so there's a nice big flower spike here, another nice big flower spike running out this way here, and another one coming out the top here. And this is a new growth, and this is a new growth, and this is a new growth as well. So it's growing really well. It's probably due a repot. In fact, I know it's due a repot. It hasn't been repotted in probably over 2 years. But it seems to be growing quite happily, quite merrily. No real issues. So I'm looking forward to it. It smells really nice. I'm looking forward to that guy being in bloom. It's always bloomed reliably for me in the past, so looking forward to it again. That just sits over there. We pan up. If I move you guys forwards, and we pan up and have a look at the wall up in front. I'm not going to get these ones down, but I will zoom in. So right in front of us, we've got, that's a good shot, the Epidendrum porpax. This is the one that we mounted on this big mount here, and it is just taken off this year. So it's almost like doubled inside. It's got really big. It's growing really, really quickly. Over this side here, we've got Stelis dasphyla. Lots of new growth. It has actually got a little tiny flower spike on it at the moment, which is pretty much gone over. But if I bring it in, you might be able to see some of the last few blooms on that flower spike. Tiny little dainty little flowers. They are minuscule, very diminutive, but it itself is just growing like an absolute mad thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with this at some point. I guess I'll have to divide it, or I don't even know. I have no idea what to do with that. It just grows so quickly. It likes it. I would say it's an intermediate grower, but I think it likes it. It's definitely responded better to the warmer weather, massively, I'd say. Going up, if we just scroll right, hang on a minute, this just makes it a bit easier. There we go. Okay, so top right hand shot. This is an unidentified epidendrum that was given to me. I just didn't know what to do with it, so I just mounted it. Here it is. We won't know until it flowers, so I've just written epidendrum. We'll have to just wait and see. It's lots of new roots being produced, new growth as well, and that was given to me by a fan, and that seems to be growing brilliantly, to be honest. But like I say, we don't know. I don't know if it's a species, a hybrid. We'll have to just wait and see what it looks like when it flowers. We pan left over here and out a little bit because they're not going to be in shot otherwise. We've got two of my Bulbophyllums. This is Lasiochilum, I think it is. Yep, this is Lasiochilum. This is on the my saucer mounts, and you can see how well plants do on this. When grown in this manner, they just sprawl and grow all over the place, and also the moss really comes to life as well. So it grows really happily like that. There's lots of new growth. There's lots of little growths here. There's new growth that's come up here. Lots of new roots. But yeah, the saucer mount seems to work really well. There's another new growth up the top there. No flowers yet, no signs of flower spikes, but we're not in any particular hurry. I expect it will take a little while for this guy to get used to the growing environment, as it were. This one is, let me just get it down. This is Bulbophyllum wendlandianum. Hoping the camera's going to focus on it. There we go. There's some nice new growth down the bottom here. Not sure if that's going to be a flower spike. just there. I'd like to think it was, but we won't know until a little bit on from where it is now. Once again, growing really well. Lots of little ferns growing at the top of it. The beauty about this type of mat is it just stays so much moister for so much longer. So it gives things, especially the Bulbophyllums, it gives them that extra drinking time that they require or that they appreciate. Down the bottom is another Bulbophyllum. Whoop. This one is weberi. This one's growing very well as well. Lots of new growth. There's a weird growth sort of going behind the saucer and sort of growing onto the, I just don't know what it's doing, it's gone mental basically. And there's another new growth coming out the top just there, so that's that guy there. Right, let's zoom out and have a look to our left. So the one remaining monster Brassia was just coming to view growing in this pot. Lots of new roots down there. Loads of new roots growing out all over the pot and all over the place. This is from Burnham Nurseries. You might be able to tell from the tag there. Had this a long time. This was twice as big as this, and I divided it up and got rid of half of it. And there's some of the flowers. Again, second blooming this year. 2 flower spikes. So that's a total. I think it's had like, I think it would have had like 5 flower spikes this year in total. And there's the beautifully scented Brassia chieftain flowers. Stunning, just a constant bloomer basically, it just will not stop blooming. It's a machine, so I'm very happy with that. That's where he lives, this is his little spot. Over the back, if we can peer through, hopefully we can, over the top of the Brassia, we can see the Dendrobium, that Dendrobium that I mounted. We'll have a look at this, it's gone a bit mad, so I'll pick it up and we'll have a look. Okay, so here's the orchid in question. This is the one that we mounted. It was an absolute nightmare to mount. Since then it's gone completely insane. This pseudobulb here is dying, or is going to die off and disappear. It's produced a new flower spike from the very front from the oldest leader, or the second oldest leader, and then it's just produced a series of completely insane kikis all over it. There's one growing upside down here, there's another one here, there's another one emerging there. So we're going to get all these weird kikis coming off of it, which I shall take off and propagate. So it's just a mutant basically. It's got to be probably the ugliest orchid in the entire greenhouse at the moment. Right underneath it we have another Bulbophyllum. This is Bulbophyllum flabellum veneris. Here it is, also growing on the saucer mount. Looks really happy, producing lots of new growth, lots of new roots. No signs of any flower spikes or anything yet. I've got a few Bulbophyllums that are like that, just don't seem to want to flower yet. I'm assuming, or I'm certainly putting it down to an age thing. I just figure they haven't quite reached maturity yet. And I'm sure it's got nothing to do with my fantastic growing conditions, he says, joking. Okay, so centre of shot is my Bulbophyllum flabellum veneris. This has got 2 new growths that have come out heading off this. Unfortunately, this one's gone shot straight off the side of the pot, which is typical. But this one was featured in a video. This was in flower earlier this year. It's done really well. The moss has really taken off on top of the pot there as well. It looks absolutely fantastic. So I think it looked much better with the moss on top. If I move you guys in, hopefully you guys can see that. Just looks more natural. And they seem to like it anyway. I don't say they seem to like it. It doesn't seem to have any negative impacts on them that I can notice anyway. Some more saucers up here. This is Elizabeth Ann. This is a recent repot. This was repotted this year because it was always been sad in the basket it was in. I don't get on with orchid baskets. They look great, but I just don't water often enough, so the plants always suffer. So let's put on some new growth. It's not looking too bad. I'm quite happy with it. Over the back, there's a Mum's Nobile orchid, which was doing awful, which is now put on some enormous growth. It's just growing great guns. To the left-hand side, if I move you guys over once more, like that, we have got the Dendrobium, devonianum orchids, which are for sale on eBay. Those are divisions. They were little kikis. They've come up really, really well and are growing really quickly now, to the point where actually it might be a bit of a pain in the backside getting a box for them because they just grow so quick. Here they are here. So that's what they look like at the moment. Lots of new growth. Lots of the roots are really going on into the mount really quickly. So yeah, those came off the parent plant, the one that died and just didn't come back. So thankfully it was able to propagate from it a lot. So that was a real lifesaver. Okay, so these were some of the orchids I had delivered from Curleen Orchids. We've got Gomeza flexuosa. I think this was basically considered an Oncidium for quite a while. And this is growing really, really well. Lots of new growth. There's another new growth here. This is all new growth since I've had it. So this came as a division, so it was quite cheap. I think it only cost me, I don't know, €6 or something like that, I think, and it's just going mad already. This is Bulbophyllum. This is rothschildianum. Too early to tell. It hasn't died yet, so that's always a positive. But yeah, so all I've done is pot it up basically, and off it goes. Now this is quite interesting. I wouldn't mind your opinion on this one if I move it in a little bit closer. This big fella that starts up there and comes all the way down into that pot there. This is Bulbophyllum arcuigera, the stinky one basically. Beautiful flower. It's actually half the parent of Bulbophyllum jersey I've got over there. In fact, I've actually got both parents because this is a cross. My Bulbophyllum, if I pan over there, Bulbophyllum jersey, being this one here, if I remember rightly, its parents are Bulbophyllum arcuigera, this big boy here, and also Bulbophyllum lobii, which is just down here, just coming into flower. So I've actually now got both parents of that cross, which is quite cool. Right, so anyway, back to my question. Has anyone noticed it yet? What is that? Now, is this a flower spike, or is it new growth? Answers in the comment section down below, please, because I think that might be a flower spike. Okay, so panning to our left slightly, there's a tiny, this is a bit of the Gomeza flexuosa that it just fell off basically. So I potted it up and it has grown quite happily and quickly as well. And if I pan out, it's exactly the same scenario with this thing here. You can see with the chopstick stuck in there. That is a Bulbophyllum gibosum leaf. It's just a single leaf that fell off, and I potted it up, and since being potted, it has produced a nice growth at the back. So both of those plants there are going to be going onto my eBay quite soon as well. Okay. So here's some gift orchids. Both of these orchids here were given to me, and I can't remember for the life of me what they were. This is Rosioglossum grande. If you find photos of this, please Google them because they're really impressive. And all I've done basically is repot it and sat it in the greenhouse. No signs of new growth or anything yet on this orchid, but it hasn't died either, so I count that as a success. This is, I can't even pronounce it. Let's look together so we can both make a hash out of it. Rhinocastile bictoniensis. It's one of them, apparently. So that's apparently what this is here. And it already had a new growth when it arrived. That's what this is here. It was a little bit crinkly. I think it must have been allowed to get a bit drier than it wanted. Since then, though, it hasn't stopped growing, and it seems to be going all right. So fingers crossed. In fact, just because I'm slightly neurotic, what I'm going to do is move you guys out of the way, like this. Because if you've noticed, these two here are a different size to all of these, so that's freaking me out. I don't know how long that's been like that, but it amazes me that it has been like that for some time. Because that I'm sorry about this, guys. For those of you that have OCD or any form of it, but I didn't used to have OCD. I used to be very laid back about stuff, and then I got older and had kids, and I don't know I don't know why that would affect it, but it's definitely made me OCD. So if we put that like, it's on one end, but it's okay, it's fine. That's a lot tighter than what it was, so we'll just leave it at that. That's enough said. Over the back, we've got £1 rescue orchid. That's £1 rescue orchid Brassia. Zoom right in, and you can see there's those new growths, 2 big new growths that came off the plant pretty much as soon as moving it, or repotting it and moving it in here. It's really happy, it's done fantastically. Pick it up. £1 orchid success. You see those 2 new growths nearest you, and it's looking lush, green and lovely. So very happy with that. Over here and straight down in front of us, that is a Bulbophyllum. Oh, that's going to pain me. Did I not stick the tag on it? It's really fimbriata, thank goodness. Whew, I thought I was going to be stuck there. Bulbophyllum fimbriata. I've had it in a pot, I've had it mounted, I've had it in so many different ways. I tried growing it and it just hated all of it really. So I thought, you know what, sod it, let's put it in the saucer, the saucer method, and it's just taken off great guns. And for such a rambling orchid, it's perfect because it's got all this space with which to take advantage of. If I slide him out of the way, this is another gift orchid. This was given to me. Never grown one before, so I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. How hard can it be? This is a Phragmipidium. This is Phragmipidium cardinale, however you want to pronounce it. And I've never grown one before, but I know they get pretty damn big. So what I've done is pot it up into this big pot here. There's some eggshell calcium on top, but it's produced quite a few new growths as well since it's been under my care. If we zoom in, there we go. Right, hang on a minute, that's better. So yeah, there's a new growth. I can get the focus on my finger. Is it going to focus? Hello, hello camera. No, it's totally not going to focus. But you can kind of see this smudged outline of a new growth down there. If I turn it around slightly as well, this way, just by the tag. If I just move it this way slightly, move that leaf, that broken leaf out of the way. See, there's another growth just down there as well. So it was looking a little bit sad for itself. It seems to be coming back leaps and bounds now. So this is a new leaf emerging out of this rosette here. So very interested to see what the flowers look like. I've never tried growing one before. So it's just a trial and error really. We'll just have to see how we get on. But I feel quietly confident. I think it'll be okay. So drawing to the end of, quite close to the end of the tour. If I move you guys over again a little bit. And then wind you guys up. Hang on a minute. Okay, so over on this side, this is Bulbophyllum fascinator. This guy needs repotting. It's also a little bit dry as well. We had at least 2 new growths on either side of the rhizome that's creeping along here this year. In fact, 3 new growths. So that's growing really, really well. Got big hopes for that. Fingers crossed. Up here is, this is a Bulbophyllum ambrosia, and it's just growing like a maniac. It's also got a Dossera capensis, which is, despite being fed regularly, carnivorous plants are able to proliferate within it, and it's all hanging off the back of the pot here, almost ready for division now, I'd imagine. So we'll have to wait and see what that turns into, but both these plants need repotting this year.